Most of the popular fitness trackers now no longer have a screen like the Fitbit Air right here or the Oura Ring, and they're really getting a bigger market share. Oura raised over $900 million, and even Whoop raised $565 million in March. And now with the Fitbit Air on the market, competition is bigger than ever. Now today, we want to look at that shift and the hype towards these kind of minimalist tracking devices. And they're exemplified now by the craziness of the Fitbit Air and how hard it is to buy one at the moment with months of waiting time. And of course, there's the Oura Ring, there's also the Whoop strap right here. So we'll be discussing all of those with a bit more of a focus on the Fitbit Air. Now, my name is Rob.
And I'm Stephan. We are two biological data scientists passionate about using science and tech to become our best selves. This is episode 21 of the Fit for Science podcast, where we discuss wearables such as the Fitbit Air, quantified self, what you do with wearables, and the data they generate, and how we apply all of those to our own life.
Yes, and Stephan, you are an 8-year Oura user by now, something like this?
Yes.
And you recently bought the Fitbit Air. So I actually want to ask you two things. We'll do a deep dive later, but why did you decide to buy it? And does it feel like an upgrade, downgrade, or is it basically the same?
Yeah, super hard question. So I decided to buy because I was intrigued by the pricing. It is 99 euros and dollars, all the same, I think, across countries. And they basically had this pitch that if you already have a Google AI Pro subscription, which I have, then you get the Google Health Pro premium subscription bundled in. Like you, as with all of their products, you kind of get everything already in. And I was intrigued by that also because I'm a fan of Google DeepMind, really these AI researchers or small subsection of Google, and what they have been doing with wearable research. We have been covering this a lot in the recent episodes, and I'm just curious what their end game is, and I want to be again. With Oura, I was also a very early adopter, and I feel like this might be a very similar thing. And yes, I have 8 years soon under my belt in Oura.
And you mentioned the premium feature of the Fitbit Air. I think for many people, the premium added stuff feels almost like a downgrade because you get all these text parts that are not that informative yet. Do you use the text part, like the chat?
So the text part itself, I think they've already reduced it. So what I saw in the reviews that you did and from others, this has already halved or is only a third anymore. It also, I mean, we can do this later then, but what I've noticed, it comes in quite delayed compared to Oura. So when I open the Oura app, it updates and I've already a very up-to-date screen and analytics, and the AI basically is lagging behind. But what I have to say, and we will go into detail then, is that I really like logging stuff via the chat. And this is quite powerful, I think. And actually you, funny, predicted this a few episodes back, that probably the future will be that you just talk to your phone to log something and it will log it then for you if it's not something that is inherently done automatically. And I think they are the closest there.
Yes. Yeah, I think there is a lot of things to come with the premium feature. I think at the moment still, it would not be worth it for me to pay the extra money for the premium because you get all the data with the basic model. You just get AI on top and some chat and some coach and stuff like this. But I think for many people, the basic thing is enough if you don't have it for free or like you already have a subscription that includes it.
Exactly. I mean, also, I think that additionally with the premium you get, I don't know what you don't get with premium, so you might be much more knowledgeable about this, but do you get the whole workout catalog and the mindfulness and meditation catalog?
I think those are only premium as well, yes.
And these look also strikingly good, especially given that Apple has this Fitness Plus thing that's basically the same thing. I mean, I guess with Apple it's a little bit of a higher quality, but what I've seen so far, and I haven't used it because I have my own workout structure, and so I built my own workouts, and we will go into detail again a little bit later with the workout builder, but there it's really nice that you see then the movements and the exercises are shown to you, and this is really cool. And I think with the workout catalog, when you have no idea and just say I want to be stronger, and it does a program for you that gets it from the catalog and already accounts for what you have available and what your baselines are. This is quite powerful. But yeah, we are at the beginning of this, definitely.
Yeah. And you can see how much they're pushing updates. Like I think it's now 5.02 or something, which is already very different from the beta launch model that I got like all the features.
Yeah.
And just reducing the text, they were immediately like, this was like, I think, a very common
Yes.
a common complaint, and they were on it really fast. And I think here there's also really a benefit for Fitbit, or for Fitbit being owned by Google, so they have so much money and so many engineers to work on this, and they don't need to make money off the whole thing.
Yeah, and also they can like literally scan, for example, your YouTube reviewer. So basically everything you say is in the ecosystem already. If they just scrape the top 10 reviewers and what they said about the Fitbit, extract the features that are most complained about or necessary, thereby prioritize how they implement them, automatically implement them, and then just code review. I mean, I'm now formulating it in a way that is very futuristic and easier, but we are really getting into this paradigm where this is quite quickly done. And looking at the roadmap that they have put online, they already updated it with what has been done, and it's quite a lot of things have been done or addressed or fixed. Like if it was a bug, they put the fixed label, and if they have to address it, they put a done label. One thing has now completely went over. You asked me if it feels equal in quality, same or better. No, same, better, or worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is hard to say. I've not gotten used to having a wristband again, and I really do not forget about wearing it. What I mean with that is, I'm very conscious that it's always there. And the ring is not the case. The ring is complete. Like I've always told everyone, because everyone sees an Oura ring and says, wow, this looks like a thick ring. And I still have the Oura Generation 3. And now the Generation 5 is significantly smaller and lighter, even more. But I always tell people here, take it and put it off, put it in their hand. I'm like, take it and hold it. And everyone is always extremely, let me have a look. Everyone is always extremely surprised how light it is.
Yes.
And then with the lightness really comes.
If we hold it
also
up to the camera, or you can hold them together, it's really quite
striking.
A big difference.
Yeah, I mean, also from the side, right?
Yeah.
They became even thinner. But even the Generation 3, that was my whole point, was so light and so nice to the touch, because there's no textile, that you completely forget you're wearing it. And this is for me one of the critical features of this kind of screenless devices, that I actually want to forget about wearing it. And I'm really curious if I get used to it, or if a bicep strap changes this, or if this is just something that is with something that is textile and really wrapping around.
Yeah, I think Whoop came up with this anywhere, wear it anywhere thing that could also help for some people. But I think this kind of anywhere is not that useful if you want to always wear it. Because if you only want to wear it during sport, then maybe you put it in your sports trousers and it works. But otherwise, you need it on your biceps or on your wrist or somewhere where you feel comfortable with it all day, and you can wear it with any clothes. And
exactly.
That becomes a bit harder.
The feature of these kind of trackers, in my opinion, they are so minimalist. They're always there. They are not noticeable neither by others nor by you. They just seamlessly disappear. They have a lot of battery life, and they're just always with you. Have automated tracking, and then maybe if you do a workout or so, and the band gets sweaty, you can exchange it. Yeah, I see this as a totally valid option, but you also change your clothes for sports, right? But as I always emphasize with tracking and in general how to set priorities, the exercise is the smallest fraction of your day for most people. And that's why I'm like, okay, then I can do this change or this extra task.
Though I think the less change you have to do, the better. I think
obviously
you think, or at least this is my perspective. If I think, oh, I'm going to buy this extra thing because then I can wear it in two places, I don't. Like if I'm like, I'll buy an extra pair of glasses, then I can switch between them. I never switch.
Yeah.
I might have phases where I wear one or the other, but in daily life, I always wear these, even though I have another pair.
No, I already complained also to my partner that the double tracking, because now apparently, obviously I track both things, and I really use both apps actively. So for example, the food logging I do twice, and this is super annoying. I'm super annoyed. I don't know how you do it with like always 5 trackers and so on. But then again, it's part of your hobby and your job.
Yeah, but soon, hopefully, Fitbit can import it from Apple Health, which is like if there's this pathway to also your food logging to make its way from Oura to Apple Health to Google Health.
No. What I mean is I do now both to basically have parity. It's not a synchronization issue in this case, because both of them support it equally well, and I want to test both of them. In the future, I will have only one of them. In a let's say 1 month, 2 months, we will see. You guys can check then in the podcast what I'm wearing, or we will mention it actually. But then if everything goes as I expect and they really improve the product a lot, then I will just stop wearing my Oura Ring and will exit the ecosystem. As we discussed before, I will just download everything, store it somewhere, and then I will be a Fitbit user. But yeah, one prerequisite for this happening is definitely that they will, which they have announced in the roadmap, enable syncing to Apple Health as well, because this is kind of my data container. My long term, I have gigabytes of Apple Health data, as you have probably. Yes.
Do you, too bad, like it's just a side note, but you have the lifetime subscription to the Oura. So the sad thing is you cannot sell that account somehow to someone.
True.
Like it just gets lost.
It gets lost, or Oura just really has a big comeback, or Fitbit lets me down in 1 or 2 years' time, and then I will switch back.
True,
right?
true.
And then hopefully they will still remember me and my account, and I can just buy for probably in 2 years the Oura Ring will cost $600. So for $600 I will then buy an Oura Ring.
But okay, let's take one step back because we never defined these kind of screenless wearables so far. So we already mentioned some, the Oura Ring, the Fitbit Air, the Whoop strap, I think is one of the OG screenless wearables that's not on the finger. How would you define a screenless wearable and what makes it different from any other wearable?
Yeah, good point. It's funny that we define it, or also on the web, it's defined as a negative thing. Like the absence of a screenless, is the defining factor. But what is actually, I tried to allude to it before, is kind of that it's a tracker that is invisible to you and everyone around you. You can wear it 24/7, and it covers just tracking, first and foremost, I think, overall passive processes. So here I focus mostly on sleep and your daily activity, right? You move throughout the day, more or less, and this is quantified. And then everything that goes along with it. If this has a heart rate sensor, which most of them have, or a temperature sensor next to the movement sensor, this is already a lot of data that is then collected 24/7. And usually these devices you have to charge every 5 to 7 days only. The Whoop even came up with this solution that you have to never take it off because the charging actually happens
and
on
the
standard
device. Battery life is longer.
Is even longer,
14 days, if I say it correctly.
Yeah, these are really the details of if it's 5 days, it's 7 days, and also the battery deteriorates over time. But just compared to, for example, a smartwatch, to differentiate between the categories, is smartwatch usually has 24 to 48 hours of battery. And then I think one more feature is that's really defined by this screenless, but it's actually something that does not interact with you in a interruptive manner. So I think none of them, the Whoop. For the Whoop, you always have to correct me. I have no first-hand experience. But for the Whoop, the Oura Ring, and also Fitbit Air, they cannot vibrate. They do not tell you anything. The Fitbit Air can only vibrate if it is low on battery and you're not sleeping, or as a alarm, which I really like. But apart from that, they have no ability to interact with you apart from the app. But these I really like, and I think this is what most people like. You do not want to have one more screen in your life, one more notification center, one more source of interruptions, of attention grabbing, but something that is just there, does its job. And when I decide I want to have a look at my data or want to check in with myself on an objective level, which is kind of this thing, I know how I'm feeling subjective, but then I want to have an objective opinion that complements it. Then I check the corresponding app, which makes the app so important in this for these products, actually. But we have discussed this before.
So, yes, I totally agree. And two things, I think, for instance, for Whoop, you get some more interactions, but it's very minor. So, for instance, you have this train goal, and if during the exercise you reach that goal, it will vibrate. So these kind of small things. I don't use it for anything else, and I don't think it can be used for like notifications. I would immediately turn it off. I think everybody would. So there are more fitness-based things where it would vibrate. And then the app, there also, I think the moment a company makes a screenless wearable, they are forced to adjust their app. So the moment Fitbit would introduce the Fitbit Air, or Google introduced the Fitbit Air, there is a certain number of features that is needed. You need to be able to start an exercise from your app. You need to be able to do all your possible interactions now via that screen instead of the screen of your device. So there also Garmin will probably soon release their Circa, which is their Their screenless wearable, as I mean, I have no insider information here. Garmin doesn't send me stuff before before release, so no new information there. But they would also need to make a drastic revamp of their app and introduce some things, and it's needed also that their app is a little bit cleaned up.
That was a horrible experience.
So Stephan did some testing for me, and he thereby had to use some devices, and for him, being used to maybe cleaner apps, it was quite a change.
Yeah, I mean, what my friends told me and also what you showed me is that with the Garmin app, A, you get used to it, and B, you can customize it a lot. But I still feel like there are some things that just have to be findable in a very quick, like 3 clicks, I should be there. And then it was also never really clear. And I think even for you and as an expert, it was not super clear. What are like, you set the age and the weight and so on in the app, but then you also have to set it specifically for the watch, for example, for your products. And why is there a difference if I'm the same user? This was also very weird.
So I think classically Garmin wants to keep a lot of options open. Now this is a hypothesis, but you can buy one of their wearables and the first question you get asked is, do you want to connect it to an app or do you want to use it without an app? So that's one of the few companies that even still allows you to buy their products and then just use it without ever installing any like connection to your phone.
As a standalone device.
As a standalone device.
Wow.
Then I can also imagine there are people who, as a couple, just want both of them to be connected to the same account and then collect data. And I don't know how that would work exactly, but there are, I think Garmin allows more edge cases where other companies would be like, nah, this is like such a small percentage of people. For most people, it'll be confusing. We're not going to do it.
Yeah.
And in a way, I also expect that the Garmin app has been built up over many more years and thereby has much more history behind it, which means it has a lot of possibilities and options to connect things, but it also just has this history of features in there. And taking away features from people is not something they like.
That's true. No, it totally sounds like what you just said. It's a historical development that we see here manifested, that people have got used to it. It might be even a small fraction, but there would be such a disproportional outcry that they'd rather leave the stuff in. And new players, I mean, Oura, I don't know when they started, 2016, 2015, and Whoop 2018 late or 2019, if even. I don't exactly know.
No, Whoop, I got the Whoop 2.0 or 3.0. 3.0 maybe as my first one, and this was 2020. So I imagine, I don't know how quickly they iterated.
Yeah, I mean, it just quite, I precisely remember it was for sure not in the early 2018s, because then when I had to decide in November 2017 if I pre-order and basically invest into this product called Oura, there was nothing comparable on the market. And then while I was waiting, and I was waiting for 11 months, and while I was waiting for my Oura ring to arrive, the Whoop was announced at least. I don't know if you could even buy it yet. So there was a lag, but that just means that comparatively to Garmin, they're extremely young companies and they could just look at their market or the market that they wanted to capture and say, okay, we don't care about many edge cases. We want to have a product, and if people like it like this and we captured like whatever, 80% of who we target, we are fine, right? Let's see how they look in 10 years if there are still some legacy features that are just there because they want to avoid an outcry. But yeah, coming back to the screenless wearables or minimal tracking devices, what are the other players? You know, I have very limited experience.
Yes.
You test a lot, and you know also what's out there and what is coming.
I would say that the big other players are the Helio strap, which I'm wearing here, which is very similar to the Whoop strap in terms of design and size.
Do they have other products as well, or is it just like, can you always say if they have a lineup and this is just one more product, similar with Garmin has watches and other stuff, and now they will introduce a band, the Circa band. Circa, sorry. And the Helio strap is a standalone company product?
No, they make many more things. So this is, for instance, their Amazfit Bip Max. So this is one of their cheapest watches, like 99 euros, I think. So the exact same price as the band. But they almost always use the exact same sensor. Like it's always the exact sensor in all their products. So this is the now I need to say Cheetah Ultra, Cheetah 2 Ultra. These naming conventions. The Ultra version of the new Cheetah running watch. I think it's the Cheetah 2 Ultra from Amazfit. And this, I have to look up the price again, but I think it's like 650.
Okay.
But it has the same sort of optical sensor in there.
Interesting.
So there, I think they're actually doing a good job because the sensor is the first one from the company that works well. So they're just like, okay, let's pop it into everything. And apparently they can produce it relatively cheaply.
Yeah.
And I think Garmin somewhat artificially just puts all their sensors in cheaper devices. And I cannot imagine that the newer sensor costs more to produce by any significant amount. But it's just a way to discriminate between products and just make it in a way I don't know if they still have old stock of sensors or so, but otherwise it's just a nice way of making people upgrade.
Yeah. Funny. Okay, who are the other players?
So there are a bunch of rings, which I'm so far most rings didn't perform well in my testing. The Oura ring is really the best by a mile in my testing at least. But now there is the Ultra Human, the newest version, or the Pro ring. This I still need to test. I didn't get early access or early-ish access now. So they should send me one. There's Polar with the Polar Loop. This did reasonably in my testing, but they also Polar is a bigger company, though they are, in a way, they were at their prime a while ago. But they also used one of the sensors. They're not their premium sensor, but sort of cheaper is a bad way, but not their most advanced sensor, but the one before they put in there. And then there's the Hume Band, which is a scam. Well, I'm not saying, I don't know if it's a scam.
Let's talk about it, because there is some history there.
Yes.
You have a story to tell. I think we have once touched upon it, but it's a while ago. And also in our last video, I think someone even put as a comment, can you please compare and comment on the Hume Band? Mm-hmm. And I was just reading it, smiling to myself, and waited to bringing it up today.
So I actually now ordered the Hume 2.0, I guess it is called. It might actually be in my mailbox downstairs when we arrived. I didn't check, but it said it should be delivered today. So I should, maybe it went to a parcel shop. But Hume contacts every possible influencer to make videos.
Okay.
They also contacted me, but then I did a check on their website and I found out that all the scientists on their website were stock image models. And there were even 2 times the same scientist on there with a different photo, like the same name, but a different photo.
Okay.
So it all seems a bit sketchy, let's say. And then I ordered one.
A few red flags.
Yes, I ordered one, and then somebody on Reddit had commented, hey, I found this thing on AliExpress that looks identical. So I ordered it, and it looked like the charger was the same, the design was the same, everything looked the same except for the outer material being metal in the Hume and plastic on the AliExpress one.
Okay.
And then I could even connect the AliExpress one as a Hume Band to the Hume app, so it recognized it. I didn't test that one in detail, and then I actually started testing the official Hume Band, and also the measurements were really bad. As far as I could even get the data out. So it was all round for the price a disaster.
Okay.
Because I think I still paid 200 and something
wow.
euros.
Okay.
And it's basically being drop shipped from China.
Okay.
So you order it in Germany, but it always goes from some Chinese city.
Okay.
And it actually, the shipping time was the same for both the cheap Chinese one and the real one, and it was all similar.
Oh my God.
I don't know. It feels like they got a license to produce the same thing, put their logo on it, made a different material on the outside, and just shipped it out.
Okay. And put $150 of margin on it, or
yeah, even more. Okay. And there's like crazy disc, and they have also contacted us now, like us, the Fit for Science podcast, to also make a video on them, and it's always the same person in the email answering
the signature.
And I even tried to get in contact with their scientist by asking that person, hey, yeah, I might be interested, but can you first get me in contact with the scientist? And then I just stopped responding at some point.
Okay.
And not that I wanted to take the sponsorship, but I was
Yeah.
just interested to see how they would reply.
Okay, interesting. No, the Hume Band. That's a separate story.
But I do think they advertise a lot on different platforms.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, it is interesting because I get quite a lot of views on the Hume Band video because it just people keep searching for it. And I think Hume is advertising on that video, even though it's a negative review. They keep paying a lot, so I'm like, that's good. They are spending a lot of their capital on on pushing a negative review. So the advertisements that go in between the YouTube videos
I
are
also
likely.
think I got one a Hume Band advertisement once, and I think maybe this was then tailored to me, but they do kind of target longevity to some degree, right? Isn't it like we will Hume Band the tracker for longevity or so, which so nicely connects to our previous episode about the longevity bubble, using this word for marketing purposes only, and really just trying to get a profit and taking away money for a really bad product, and that has nothing to do with longevity in its like definition.
Yes. And now, in addition to Hume, there's also a bunch of other rings there. I put some in front here. So Samsung made a ring. There's a few more. I haven't tested all of them in detail yet also because, I cannot test everything. And so far, I think the ring factor is just a quite hard factor to master. And for exercise, they're all not so great. Like for measuring your heart rate during exercise, especially cycling or something, I think just that like the Oura Ring 5 actually did reasonably well for running and but the moment you start cycling outside, there's just you're holding onto those handlebars, and I think the signal just gets obscured.
Exactly. Like that's also my experience. As soon as apart from the fact that during weightlifting or pull-ups, it's really uncomfortable to have a ring, right, and pushing on it. And also, I think we had a concerned listener comment on one of our YouTube videos that we should really be careful because there is this, and then they had this medical term for that basically your finger swells, and then you also told the story and then you have to cut it off, right? So there are dangers associated with it if you have something, or the ring gets caught, right, and the ring doesn't open or so, it just takes your finger off basically.
But that's with any ring.
That's true for any ring, exactly, for the form factor, but usually you don't do, for example, very heavy exercises with something that could pull your finger off. But then also during cycling, I can imagine if you hold the handle very tight, then as you say, the signal is what's the word?
Obfuscated.
Yes, exactly. That's the correct word.
But I'm not even holding it tight. Just like the bumpiness will be transferred so much into the ring, I think.
Okay.
I mean, and holding it, but I think there's always some changing pressure, and I think that's just making the signal very noisy.
Okay, well, because during running, also now in parallel with the Fitbit Air, I observed that the running performance is actually quite good and on point, as long as it's not cold. So my fingers and my hands have to be extremely warm, which they rarely are. I mean, nowadays we have more than 30 degrees in Vienna, so it's always hot. But usually my hands, even if I'm running for an hour, they stay cold, even in like, I don't know, fall or spring. And I really saw that the measurements were completely wrong and off, especially during the running study that I participated that you designed. So there I saw it, and always with all the other devices, what the accuracy was and how the curves were, especially during the sprinting tests. And then the Oura Ring was just, I don't know, average heart rate of 170, while the actual average heart rate was 130, like completely off.
And actually, today, as an example, you said your readiness was low. According to which device, and what did both tell you? How does that correlate with your subjective?
Oh, okay. That's true. Today, the Oura Ring's readiness is, I think, 86, so 86.
And is that low for you or not?
That's okay. High 80s, low 90s are mostly normal. Yes. And then the Fitbit Air just reported 16, and both are scaled from 0 to 100, with 100 being perfect and not achievable, I think, most of the time, at least in Oura, and 0, you must be dead. I mean, I don't know if I ever managed something below 30 in Oura. And I mean, I was maybe in my 30s when, like, once a year when you're really out, you drink, you go to bed at 5, you were wasted, and yeah.
I had to think 3 times in your 30s. I'm like, you're still in your 30s.
Yeah,
but
no,
yes,
no. The readiness score.
the
is in your
readiness score
30s.
was in the 30s.
Yes, and the Fitbit Air was like telling me 16, and then it bases this only on 3 values: resting heart rate, sleep score, and HRV. Resting heart rate is something that it continuously tries to estimate, so it's not your lowest point during the night. HRV is only measured during the night and reported only the average, but I don't know what of the longitudinal data from the night actually makes it into the score. Couldn't find this out. And the third thing is the sleep score. And the interesting part is it claimed that my HRV was poor, hence it gave me such a bad score. But the HRV was, instead of 60 milliseconds, 55. And I just think it's not calibrated yet correctly, because yes, a variation of 5 might be like significant for my reason. Like, I have the device only for 7 days now. Just for context, literally last Thursday afternoon I set it up, so now it's again Thursday. But nevertheless, I mean, this was quite a drastic difference. What has to be said is, when I got up today, I was dead. It was a horrible hot night. I got up in the night, I ventilated our bedroom. I like, it was a bad night, but it was not a 16. I don't know, readiness of 72 or whatever, 75 would have been more appropriate. Also, the 86 of Oura was kind of fishy. It was more because I was so dead during the night, it thought I had deep sleep, but actually I was lying there and praying for a cool down.
But interesting that that's one other screenless wearable that's not a typical wearable, your 8 Sleep.
Yeah.
Did it not cool you down enough?
Well, I have it. I don't know. We can talk about it quickly. I'm using it for cooling myself down, and I set it now. It's always at 27 degrees Celsius. If I go lower, which I tried yesterday because it was so hot in our room, and I checked then the data actually of the room temperature, it was 28 degrees throughout the whole night. But the 8 Sleep I set to 27 degrees, and the idea is really that it's so close to your body that it then cools you down, right? And the surface of your body is, I don't know, 36 degrees or something like that. But if I go lower...
We're talking about Celsius for American listeners.
Always Celsius, yes. But if I go lower, actually, my muscles start to tighten so much that I get pain, and then I get belly aches, and I get a neck pain. So
do you have the blanket as well?
No. I only have the...
I have the blanket, and I have it set to 21.
To 21 degrees. Okay, no, this is painful for me. Like, after some time, my muscles go so hard that it's so uncomfortable to me, and I'm in pain. And then this pain doesn't go away. I have to warm up again, and it goes away over like 2 to 3 days. Then I can relieve this pain. So that's why I cannot make it cooler. And I just slept without any blanket or top, just my tiny pajama trousers.
But interesting, yeah. For me, so the 8 Sleep is the thing that goes around your mattress and can also even have the blanket, and it cools for those who are not familiar with it. And for me, this makes the biggest difference for sleeping. But I can just set it to any temperature and be fine.
Yeah, that's nice.
And that, like, last night I slept so well. Like, before I was testing a competitor to 8 Sleep, and this just, I put it to minus 15 compared to baseline, and I was still hot because it's just the surface, and I think also the tubes are still not as dense because it's their first generation product. I won't mention their name just because I don't know. Like, I'm really having a test version, so I think it's not fair to make any negative comment while they're still in this building phase. But I set it to the lowest possible setting, minus 15, which I think is probably...
And you were still sweating.
I was still sweating. And then I was so happy to go back to 8 Sleep, because then I also have the blanket. Yeah. And last night I slept so well.
Good for you.
Yes.
I'm very glad.
But okay.
Everyone has to know that Rob is even more temperature sensitive than I am.
For hot temperatures.
For hot temperatures, exactly.
So at the moment in this room is probably also around 28.
Yeah, something
so
like that.
We're sweating
a bit.
quite a bit. So, but okay. So there's quite a few screenless wearables out there. I would say at the moment the top four, yes, in no particular order, is Oura, Whoop, the Helio strap, and the Fitbit Air. I think these are the really popular ones. There are others out there, but I think these will make up the bulk of the market share. I suspect the Helio strap might be a bit more popular in Europe because it was so much cheaper than the Whoop strap, and I think Europeans are much more price sensitive. I think the Fitbit Air is now selling everywhere, but still needs some time to capture more market. And the Whoop Strap and Oura were the classic leaders in their respective niche.
Maybe I missed it, but the Helio strap is from the company Amazfit.
Yes.
And the Helio strap does not have a subscription.
No.
This is, I think, is also a quite important thing, because all the other threes have, to some degree, a completely limiting subscription. This is the Whoop for me. The Whoop is, without a subscription, a useless brick of plastic and metal. The Oura Ring is basically useless. It gives you the scores, but it's at least a cheaper subscription. But the device cost has increased over time a lot. I think my first one I got for 250 euros because early investor, blah, blah, blah. And then the upgrade to the third one, there was a discount because they offered, hey, you're Oura Ring 2 user, you could upgrade to Oura Ring 3 using, I think, then costing 300 instead of 350. And now I saw it costs 430 euros, I think.
The Oura Ring.
Gen 5. Yes.
Yeah, 50 euros more. I think I paid for something, 400 and something, and
exactly.
I bought 2.
Yeah, and also I at least didn't get an email or an offer of getting a discount because I'm a loyal user or I have an Origin.
At some point,
3.
I think you again have these refer a friend links, which you
yeah,
can, I guess,
exactly.
use
you
yourself.
Can use for self. Exactly. These are 20% off. But was it what it was? Maybe it was also because I've never upgraded to the 4, right? So maybe only, I don't know. Did you get, as a Ring 4 user, an invite? Hey, do you want to upgrade?
I remember there was an email from refer a friend.
Yeah.
Maybe there was also something for yourself, but I'd already bought them, and I was like,
okay,
I just need to get the review out.
Yeah. And also now they have a sell of all the Origin 4.
Yes.
This I saw. But then I was like, who is buying a Gen 4?
I mean, I actually think some of the colors are nicer for the 4.
Ah, okay.
So there, and I don't mind the bigger size. So for me, it will be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, you asked about subscription. I mean, Amazfit also has some subscription. I think I've never looked into it. But this is, again, for some advanced AI stuff, if at all. Like, maybe I'm mistaken here because I never dug into that part. But I think it's very similar to Fitbit in that regard.
Yep.
That there is this ask an AI. I actually don't know if you need to pay for it now. So we will put it in the show notes and correct me if I'm wrong. Because I always, for these kind of things, evaluate the basic experience. If it's not very obvious that I need the premium feature, or if the brand is like, hey, here you have your account upgraded, and I'm like, okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But I think there's usually some added premium feature, but I'm not entirely sure for the Zap app because I really don't need it because it has everything there. So
yeah,
we'll put it in the show notes.
Put it in the show notes if there's.
So Amazfit uses the Zap app.
Yeah, I remember.
Which is a little bit confusing for some people.
But it's not Garmin.
No.
I managed to orient myself.
But I think also in the past, the Zap app could connect to some other brands as well, if I remember correctly. Okay. I need to look into this. But for now, basically, if I'm in contact with people from Amazfit, it's at an @zap.com email address. So
understood. Yes. Yeah, I mean, now we talked about a lot about the brands and so on. And I think I shone a very positive light because back in 2017, when I decided for the Oura Ring, I was still using a sports watch. I was using a heart rate monitor, as you would for a semi-professional athlete. And you just wanted to track everything that you trained, and you want to have your data as accurate or as precisely captured as possible. But really back then I made the shift of, okay, can I have all the tracking and the benefits of tracking while not investing so much time into it? And do I actually need this level of granularity and this detail and richness for these very specific things, as I always argue, for exercise, for example, extremely specific, but then having basically a really crappy app on my phone next to my bed on the nightstand that records my sounds for sleep tracking, right? This was for me something that I then realized when stepping back, and I was like, well, I'm working out 7-8 hours a week, but I'm sleeping every night 8 hours, and there was just this balance. And then the Oura Ring came out, and I was kind of rethinking. Also, obviously, their marketing was good, but back then I really made this shift of, okay, how can I simplify this setup while still gaining all the benefits of self-quantification, like learning about myself, getting a complementary objective view. And I was okay with becoming less accurate. And this is now going towards the weakness. The general weakness across all of these devices is, I think that they are sometimes not good for fitness or for training, but in general, to some degree, less accurate than for example,
yes, for
chest
heart
strap,
rate.
for heart rate, for example, but also to some degree, maybe like an Apple Watch. I don't know. You can then comment on that. And definitely, they are not suitable for anyone who says, I want to have my map on my wrist, right? Because there's literally no screen. And during trail running now recently, and last year we've done a lot of hiking for our tour around the Mont Blanc. I loved that we had at least always one or two people with us who had a very good Garmin with the map data on it, and they just lifted their wrist and checked if we are on course. And now with trail running, this is quite annoying, getting always out my phone, because during running, I'm even more active and moving fast, and I have sticks in my hand, right? So there are not only strengths, there are also weaknesses. Can you comment on that? Because you have...
In terms of accuracy, if they are band based, they are not necessarily in a worse position than a watch.
Okay.
So they often use similar sensors. So there is not a big difference there. They even have the benefit of being lighter because they just need less stuff in there, and thereby moving less on the wrist and potentially having a better signal. Though companies do tend to put slightly older sensors in there. I don't know why. This is probably to keep the price down. So Fitbit did it, and Polar did it. I guess for Amazfit they just have one sensor, but I think usually if you want a smaller sensor, they tend to be also the older sensors, and they can just stuff them in there and they get them for a lower price maybe. Though this I'm very unfamiliar with, because I cannot imagine it's such a big difference. I think it might mostly be size, because I'm commented on previously with Garmin that their cheaper devices have their older sensor. I don't know if it's, in the grand scheme of things, production cost is like maybe $2 more, like if it's significant or not.
But just by scaling.
Exactly.
Power of scale. Okay.
And in the end, newer isn't always more expensive. It just means you optimized it. But yeah, maybe if you add 2 more channels for the heart rate sensor, then it's a little bit more expensive. So in terms of heart rate performance, they're not necessarily worse than a watch. But of course, it's worse than a chest strap, just because the chest strap measures the electrical signal of the heart, which is such a clean signal, whereas on the wrist, you're measuring blood flow changes, which is a less clean signal.
Derivative.
But bands can be worn on the biceps, where you have a cleaner signal. So often, if you take the same sensor and put it on the biceps, you get a better heart rate signal, which is why the Whoop and the Fitbit Air do so much better on the biceps. And this is also true for the Polar Loop. So this is just almost universal rule, not a rule, but almost universal truth, that on most people on the biceps, it will do better. Unless you also have extremely bony biceps. But I think you would almost need
or
to
hairy biceps.
Or hairy.
Or very tattooed biceps.
But I guess usually the forearm is hairier than the biceps for most people. Tattoos, yes, play some quite big role, probably. Never investigated myself, so hard to say what the impact factor of that is.
I think that would show some commitment, Rob. You should have some very well-placed tattoos just to test also for people who have a darker skin tone or a tattoo. That should be the commitment of a true YouTube reviewer.
Well, I already got myself some vertigo to get a whiter skin.
Yeah, that's also good. You cover both directions, right?
But yeah, and then actually for tracking quality, they're not necessarily worse than watches also for sleep stages, because sleep stages are anyway more algorithm dependent than sensor dependent. So I think overall, for instance, the Amazfit Helio strap on the biceps is just one of the best heart rate trackers out there, and sleep stage tracking is not worse than on the wrist. Same for the Google Fitbit Air. So I think in the end, you might get better quality if it's a band. If it's a ring, the signal is just much worse for any movement-based thing in most cases, where there's even any touching of stuff, or it just gets worse.
So it's too much interference. But do you have any idea, like we discussed this very shortly before, but I think it's good to address it here again because I'm so curious. Oura is always claiming that the finger is the best point for measuring. And I've never understood the claim. I mean, they also then really don't put like a reference or a citation, I think. But I've never, like, understood. Why would the finger be better than the wrist, than the biceps, than something else?
In some ways, maybe where they are measuring it, it's quite flashy. So
Mm-hmm.
there, the signal quality could be quite good.
Mm-hmm.
I would then, so they can also do more of a transmittance
Mm-hmm. Like going through,
measurements
you
going
mean,
through.
and
I
measuring on the other
wonder,
side what comes through.
yes, I wonder if they can actually do it so well, because there's, of course, the bone in between. So I don't
Yeah.
know how this,
Also, it's I think rather a reflection, and then you have dispersed
yes,
reflection, and then you cover not through the bone, but what comes back, but in a wider range. That's
mhm.
what I think mean with this, because you have only sensors on one side still, right? Is it
Mm,
throughout already now?
so there are, if you look at the actual thing, there is a sensor on top, but I don't know if it's
Okay.
also
Ah,
really basically a light
that's
sensor.
new. That's new.
Yes. But
Interesting.
they always claimed that it was better on the
Yes,
finger.
right. And
I
maybe
think there
also,
is some evidence for blood flow. I don't know. I don't want to say anything because I don't know too
yeah,
much about it. I've seen the claims. I've also found them a bit weird, but I think it has probably a little bit to do with the flashiness
mm-hmm.
on the finger, and that there is, if it's warm enough and if you're not
Yeah,
moving too much, then maybe yes.
yeah.
But the
For sleep, for
moment
example.
for sleep, there I think they have a good chance. Whereas the wrist, there it can be tough, because if you put the sensor right on top of the bone, there's just not a lot of
Exactly.
flash.
That was my guess, that they actually made the comparison with where people mostly put their watches, and the watch would be above the wrist bone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for example, for the study, you wrote the protocol and you very deliberately told everyone, and I mean, it's also what you told me with the band, put it a few fingers shy of your wrist
Away
bone,
from
actually,
the
like
air.
more towards your heart,
Yeah.
for people who are not watching, just listening, because there you have better signal, and also I think you have less of interference due to twisting your wrist, right? And I think light bleed is also less. I mean, on the finger, it's also, if you have a snug ring, there's not a lot of light bleed compared to, I think, wrist. But yes, obviously, as you said, the interference when touching something, holding something, grabbing something during workouts, or even cycling causes a lot of interference. Yeah, one more thing I meant with, maybe accurate wasn't the right word, but the hiking was going towards that. If you would, for example, be training for a triathlon or something like that, and you want to have a specific pace, a specific distance, a specific heart rate-based training, you want to do intervals, you want to switch between sport recordings, you need a display, you need live feedback, and you need to have the ability to switch sports basically easily. And this is all not supported per definition in a screenless wearables. You quite deliberately make the choice that this is either done via the phone or not at all.
I think what maybe companies have to get better at with these screenless wearables is automatic detection of activities. And I think there Google is also really investing that they get this right. So by it really learns from you and your personal behavior and your tagging of exercises, what combination of movement and heart rate patterns means which exercise.
Yeah,
And I
I
think
already
there,
have been tagging. I'm a
yes.
good boy. I'm a good labeler. I'm providing the ground truth data for machine learning.
So I think there, just having screenless wearables can also make the other wearables potentially better.
Yeah.
That they port this over to other models. And there, I mean, I'm still testing it, but so far it seems at least that the Fitbit Charge 6 is equally improved in performance just by software.
Because you even said the sensors are the same.
Exactly. It's the same sensor as in the Fitbit Charge 6, 5, Inspire 3, I guess. So a lot of their models already had the sensor. And this, not, of course, Fitbit was already sort of a banned company, so they could nicely just plug it into their new wearable. But this is a really old sensor, and they managed with software to make it work well.
I'm just laughing because today I checked the Google Health website. They have now a Google Health website where they like advertise and say we do a lot of research in this domain. And then they have a separate website for their research where you can actually then filter the publications. And there are more than, I think, 300 publications related to Google Health devices and wearables. And you can filter by disease, you can filter by publication year, but you can also filter by device. It was just such a thing with like Aspire, Inspire, Ava, Lava, I don't know what not. It was such a long list, and that's why now I had to laugh when you were like, the Fitbit and so on, because it was for me like funny collection of names. I don't know, the PR came up with the marketing at Fitbit. Okay, in the last minutes, do you want to quickly hear about my week with the Fitbit Air?
Yes, I would be interested to hear an independent evaluation. And of course, you're also collecting data for me.
Yeah.
Or did you already set up the
No.
system? You will be collecting data for me.
I will be collecting, I promise. I have not set up the Polar
So
yet.
I gave him a chest strap so he can compare it.
Yes, and I know already the drill, but I haven't come around to setting it up and also then being a good boy and tracking not only with Oura and the Fitbit Air, but also with the Polar chest strap. But yeah, I split it into 3 parts, like things I like already, things that I'm critically about, and things I do wish for to happen. And we touched upon a few things.
Wait, but first, if you wish for certain things to happen on this podcast, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave comments about what you think we're doing well, not so well, on whatever platform you're on. We're trying to check all of them. It would really help us, especially getting some reviews on the Apple Podcast app or Spotify, wherever you're at. This is super important for us to get this channel out there, get more people to hopefully see what you think is interesting and valuable content. So thanks so much for considering. Don't forget to subscribe, and let's get back to what you liked and disliked.
Exactly. And send it a friend if you think they like it as well. It really takes only, I think, 10 seconds with the share button, and then it's out there. Thanks a lot. Yes, so what I liked in 3 brackets, so to speak, is I really like the nutrition and food logging. I don't know how accurate it is, because if it's true, I've been very diligent. Everything I ate, I put in there. Either you scan a barcode, that's when you have a processed article, let's say a protein bar, very easy, you scan it, done. Or you describe it with text, or you just snap a picture and it infers everything, and then it tries to estimate everything. And it estimates not only the constituents, it's like a qualitative assessment, that's what Oura app does, but it also tries to estimate the kilocalories and the macros and the micros, which is really interesting, because then you could, for example, you set a protein goal for your day and you say, hey, I want to have 72 kilograms heavy. I want to have a protein goal of at least 100 grams per day. And then I see this growing over time if I reach it or not. Or I could also set that I want to have lower fat. So this is quite cool. Just don't know how accurate it is, because it also quantifies my expenditure, right? And so far, it rather looks like I would be losing weight, but I haven't lost weight so far. I'm quite stable.
I mean, this is a hard problem
to
solve.
It is super hard.
But I think it's very important to solve, especially since I think I have to find out where I heard this. But I heard that, yes, when people start tracking their food, they tend to try and eat more healthily. But because the tracking is now set up on a way where you can scan barcodes, people sometimes tend to move towards pre-packaged food because it's so much easier to log. So they move away a little bit from cooking fresh food from the supermarket.
Because it was, I mean, with fitness pal and so on, it's super tedious that you can scan the product, but then you say, I ate 10 grams of that. If you cook something with 10 ingredients, you go crazy. Yeah. And then there are 2 options. Either you move to completely processed food, and then it's like the food is packaged and you scan it, or you say, I always eat the same thing, which is most of the time the best solution, but for a lot of people too boring. But I like this intermediate solution now, that you just snap a picture, and Oura does this as well. And Oura just gives you a qualitative thing like high protein, low protein, and so on. And they also give you judgment overall, is this meal or food item nutritious or poor? That's the scale. This I really like, and I was really surprised that they also tried to estimate and record the micros. So when I tracked an AeroPress coffee, and I said black coffee and so on, then it really tried to estimate and just put in 100 milligrams of caffeine, which is was surprising to me. Then on the fitness side, as I've been an Oura user, I basically have been the last years just tracking always that I've been working out, but for example, with strength workouts, I've never tracked then the heart rate or so on. And this is really nice that I can do this now. Again, I do enjoy it. And what I really like is the workout builder. You just go into the app, you build your workout once. You know me, I always do the same things, right? So I was lying in bed on the first night when I had the Fitbit Air. I built my 3 workouts that I do over the course of a week. And now I have them. I just hit start, and then there's a little man doing pull-ups. And I'm like, yeah, now I'm doing what the little man does. And then I can put in the amount I did. So this is, I don't know if it's a short-term gamification, but it just gave me more than having to remember my workout. I mean, it's always the same. It's not hard to remember, but still seeing the numbers and then having it logged in the granularity again that I did pre-2017 is kind of nice without this major additional effort. Back then I also had a platform, but this was really a pain then to always type this in. And yeah, I like that there is a workout and meditation mindfulness catalog. I just tried 2 meditations so far. They are nice. I mean, it's always these catalogs. If you have the time and look for something, it's nice, but you have to, I think, kiss a lot of frogs until you find a prince. Or what is the saying? I don't know. You just try a lot and some things resonate with you, but it's not like the majority. So I don't know if this is different in Fitness Plus, for example. And then finally, sleep tracking is fine. I mean, I'm waiting. I saw already that you did one test, and there I was super surprised that it performs so well. Not that I've seen something else. I was just surprised that that there were Oura for me and Whoop are dedicated sleep trackers, and it was just outperforming them in your test, which I found quite impressive. Let's see if this is a long-term trend as well. So I will not comment on that. I think this is the quantitative scientist's domain. Just for me, I like the silent smart alarm feature because I always felt it's a missed chance. Obviously, the O-ring is a really small form factor. And if you would put in a motor additionally in there, it's quite impossible. There is a certain size that you need for a motor to have this vibration power. But here, apparently, it's large enough, and this is super convenient. I set it to 8 a.m., and then between 7:30 a.m. and 8 a.m., when it thinks I'm in a light sleep period, it vibrates, and I hit it twice, and then it's off. Has it helped so far? No, but it's really have been not so great nights recently because of the heat. But I do like it because I like it when you are with a partner in your bed and you have different schedules that you can set a smart silent alarm, and you can set multiple ones. So maybe if you want to have a reminder for taking some medication or so that you don't necessarily want everyone in the office to know about because a big alarm goes off, but you still don't want to miss it. That's on your body and no one notices, right? And you get this check-in and you can turn it off. So this I really like. And the final thing I really like is, I touched upon it in the beginning, so I don't make it too long, is the logging with AI. And I found it so reminiscent of what you predicted. Hey, because I complained, I want to have logging that is more custom. I don't want to be contained to what they offer. And you say, well, you think probably the best thing would be if you just tell it, right? And literally you can type it, but you can also use voice mode. And it's like Gemini, you just tell it, log now a snack, I had a pear and an apple, and then it thinks a bit. That's not so fast, but I think it tries to make sure it does everything correctly. And then it says, hey, I logged the snack with this and this calories, and it's there, right? And if you, for example, have the same snack every day or so, just go into your chat history and say, log it again now. This is the words that I type and I'm done, right? And this is nice. And you can do it for everything. You can also do it for activities or other stuff. Nice. This I really like.
Yeah. And what don't you like?
I'm missing a custom tag system, or I think in Whoop it's called a journal, and in Oura it's tags, that you can just say, I want to track now something arbitrary that I came up with, and I just want to have it as a data point in my health history. This is not there yet, and also not that you can later, like one idea would be to later correlate it. For example, you try blue blocker glasses, a topic of the early episodes, and you want to see then correlate it with your sleep score. Something super basic and no option right now supported. But it can be fixed with software, theoretically. Or also that there's no longitudinal data for the respiration, SpO2, hardware variability, so you don't see
no granular data. Course. So it is longitudinal?
It is longitudinal too. It's daily. But what I mean is...
You want it per 5 minutes. Or
exactly. And also not only overnight, but that it just gets tracked whenever when I'm not moving.
But interestingly, the data is there. They just don't show it to you. Like I can pull it out.
Yes. For the night and for the day. Or
for the night.
Okay, for the night. At least
I
for
don't
the
know
night.
for the day, but for the night I can pull it out.
Yes, and this I don't like because they really give me only the average, and it's one value, and I don't understand why they cannot give you. They give you the day, the week, the month, the year that you can toggle off the different time scales. But why not add day that I can see the 24-hour cycle? Because I think this is quite instructive. For example, if I had a drop in SpO2, this is interesting. If you have sleep apnea, then you have these drops of oxygen saturation. Yes, when you do one of these meditations that are guided in this catalog, they don't track you. This I also don't understand. Oura does it, right? Obviously, you can, and Oura then reports you, hey, this is how your heart rate changed, this is how your HRV changed, and this is how your temperature changed. This is just so on the nose, I think, because you're anyway probably being still, so it's good environment for measurements, and you would see a physical response to what you do psychologically. And this is, I think, very informative if something also works for you or not. And it seems to be a little bit slower in terms of activity detection. So it detects automatically that I'm walking or cycling, but in the Oura app, when I enter the Oura app, 5 seconds later, there comes this, have you been walking? ? Or like confirmed activity. The Fitbit doesn't ask, but it takes, I don't know, half an hour, and then it's in your system and it's there. But I think there's a disconnect because sometimes people want to check and then I want to confirm or whatever, and I see, is it there or should I put it in? And half an hour later, I forgot, I don't care anymore. It has to be there. And yeah, the syncing to Apple Health, and that it's not sauna proof. I mean, I'm not so often at saunas, but Oura and Whoop support it. I think that's a hardware limitation. And finally,
question is, does it really not survive, or do they just not want you to try?
Good point. Currently, they recommend against it because they say the hardware might be damaged.
Yes.
And it's just, whatever. But yeah, the Oura and the Whoop specifically allow it, like explicitly say, hey, you can go into the sauna with it. And yeah, for example, female specific functionality, I mean, they ask you your gender, you can say no, or male or female. I put male, so I guess they exclude all the features. I looked it up now, they have cycle health and predictions and symptom logging. But from Oura, I know also just from reading the blog post, not because it was offered to me, they have already quite good tracking for specific periods in a woman's life, periods in a woman's life, for example, pregnancy or menopause, and they even released a female biology specific AI feature. So I think they're quite ahead, but again, you can fix it with software. And yeah, I just wish that the software things get addressed and they just look a little bit left and right, what people say and also what others can do. And that I get used to the form factor. I also fiddle around. I always check, is it really tight enough? Is it, I don't know. Maybe I have to get used to it.
But were you also with your Oura Ring always twisting it back to the correct position?
That's true. Yeah. No, yes, this I still do. And funny enough, now I've been not wearing it, for example, during exercising and running. And then I took it off. And then I was like, oh, what is this? Skin? That's weird. And where's my Oura Ring? Because I still have the heritage design, which I like. It's flat on the top.
That's easy to twist, yes.
Yeah, it's a flat on the top. So yeah, I hope these features come.
But are you buying one for your partner or not?
The Fitbit Air, I will test it a bit more, but probably, yeah. I think I will get one for Steffi as well. Especially with the discount I got, it's now getting cheaper. It's cheaper to buy the second one. So the two cost basically $150.
So when you bought it, you got a 45 euro gift card for Google.
Yeah, for Google Shop, exactly. And now if you then add it together, have two divided, like minus 45 divided by two, each of them is $75, which is quite the great offer. So yeah, and for the foods, what I miss now, and my hack described it, I go to the chat and say I ate the same thing, but an obvious feature would be to have custom meals already in there, then say I ate the same meal again, right? But I think this is a no-brainer that will be there very soon. But it's not on the roadmap, interestingly. If I have not missed it, there's one thing that sounds like it, but for me it didn't sound exactly like it. Yeah, nice. If I could wish for something, I've been wishing a lot, is GPS. I would love if these devices would have standalone GPS, but yeah. You described to me, this is really hard.
Yeah, I think size, battery life, all these things would. And then I wonder if it would often also start too late with some tracking parts because it would need to gather the signal. Like it would
Yeah.
be quite complex, and probably in the end not as useful, because for automatic workout detection, there would be a lag
Yeah.
before it would actually be connected, and it would use a lot of battery power, probably also seeing, are you actually indoor or outdoor? I don't know. Let's see. Let's turn on GPS, and
Yeah.
and then it would become, and
True.
then I cannot get the signal. Is this because he's actually
Yes.
outside, or is he inside? And the thing doesn't know if you're
Yeah.
inside or running inside or outside, and it will keep using battery to try to get a GPS connection. Like
Yeah.
it's kind
This will
of
drain it a lot.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it would be nice if they would then have a slider to say turn GPS on or something.
That's a good idea, actually. Yeah, just because I just also was thinking, how would I implement it? That's a good idea, having a physical slider, then to basically have GPS on, so that it doesn't even try in a wrong, like there's no false positives, so to speak. Because the alternative would be that it is always on somehow, to be on time to track an activity, and then also have the frequency that matters, right? I mean, when you go for a run and have the GPS on a watch, there's a lot of interaction going on that you really have the correct pace that is informative to the run. So yeah.
But yeah, then in the end, that sort of defeats in a way the purpose of having something that you don't need to think about. So
True.
hard. Yep. And I mean, you mentioned here in our notes that one should enable Apple Health import.
Yeah, okay. This I just noted down. I thought maybe some listeners would be interested. So if you have been using Apple Health as your database or your data container, I would recommend the following procedure when you start using the Fitbit Air. Enable Apple Health import completely with everything, such that all the data is loaded in. Then it does some syncing. This is not long because it does not go really far back, which I don't understand. So not even months. It's like just a few days back. I was really confused.
I thought it was 3 months or something.
I know we discussed this, but not what I saw then in the app. And then once this is done and you have the feeling that the app got all the information it needs, because it also reads out sleep data, for example, then go in again to this sync window, and so in Apple Health, and disable everything that has something to do with heart rate, exercise, or sleep, such that there is not, if you track it with another device, any data conflicts occurring. But then the rest, it should keep reading out, for example, your weight, because then you don't have to put it in. And if you get it from another source, as we do from our Withings, you have the loop again closed that the Withings writes to Apple Health, and the Apple Health gets read out by a Fitbit, and the Fitbit gets a current weight and fat percentage, for example, estimate.
Yes. Did you notice when reading in your data that your baseline was messed up because it got data from another source, where maybe Oura on average predicts 10% more deep sleep per night, or what, like something that can be systematically different between these devices, and thereby you get a really weird, really weird baseline? I saw this, for instance, unrelated, but I have a second Whoop strap that I then lent to Rafael to do some testing. And then because it used my baseline before, he was always like getting bad sleep quality. Like something was always messed up. And I wonder if you import a lot of sleep tracking data, especially from another wearable, which maybe systematically has more or less of a certain sleep stage, it might mess up its calibration.
Could be. So far, I mean, there were from the beginning these estimates of what's your range, and it tries to tell you if you're above or below your range, and that's how it gives you a sleep score. And so far, all my nights have been within range.
And also resting heart rate, because I think Oura takes your lowest value during the night, whereas with Fitbit, I always get something in the 50s, which is far above my low. Like I can go below 40 even some nights. So it's very different.
The resting heart rate, I think Oura does not write into this resting heart rate bracket called, like, that's the problem with terminology if it's not clearly defined. Oura calls resting heart rate the lowest point during the night, but Apple and also Google apparently call it something that is like occurring during the day, when you're like your low thing during the day, I think, basically, or your low average or whatever. I mean, I don't know. They don't put a precise label on it. They just say, okay, if you are resting but awake, that's what you would call the resting heart rate. and I think they have aligned definitions. So I never imported it because it's not there for me in Apple Health. But yeah, this would lead to a big discrepancy because, as you, but not that extreme, my lowest heart rate during the night is around 43. And my resting heart rate, according to Fitbit, is 52. And it even has a screen that is interesting. It shows you the nightly heart rate, and then it shows you the percentage of time that you were above or below your resting heart rate. This should be, you should be in the majority of time below your resting heart rate when you're sleeping. So that's really outlines and exemplifies the difference in definition of terminology that Oura and the rest of the world apparently has. What does Whoop have? How do they define this?
Also, good question. Is during the night. I don't remember if it's. I think it's not the lowest. It's something else, but I have to look it up.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Apple is one of the only companies who uses a different HRV, heart rate variability metric, which means most companies don't write HRV data to Apple.
Okay, yeah, Oura at least I know. Like that's why I have no HRV data in my Apple Health. Do you know if Fitbit also uses the same formula that Oura uses, but not Apple?
Yes, they use what is it, RMSSD or something,
yeah.
RMSDD, one of the two. Yes, they use this.
Okay.
I even calculate with my reference using this formula, and then I see an almost perfect fit over the night with Fitbit or with Oura, and then Fitbit is close. Okay. And as far as I know, they use RMSSD.
I think it's RMSSD, yes, as you said.
Just SSD, I'm like, am I using the terminology from
solid
computers?
State disk? Yeah, no. It is root mean square of successive differences. This helps right now. You will remember forever because it's such a natural word to remember.
But overall, you recommend importing as much as possible from Apple Health. At least on your experience, there's been no negative.
No, exactly. I haven't seen something that was very weird. But then once everything is imported, remove everything that could cause a conflict or weirdness, especially if you track with multiple things and put everything into Apple Health.
Okay, and to close off, what would be the reasons you would stop wearing your Oura ring, and what would be the reasons what would need the Fitbit to do so that it cannot be your permanent tracker in the end, just to round off the episode?
Yeah, that's not really hard. I think if everything stays as is, I would really wish for a bicep strap for the for the Fitbit Air. If this arrives and it's not uncomfortable, I don't see a reason why I shouldn't switch, because I will seamlessly track more, and I'm just really trusting that they want to be the premier health platform, and so they will ship everything that I've now commented on the software side.
And when you say you track more, you mean exercise?
Yeah, exactly. That would be the thing that is just more meaningfully captured and easier captured with a strap. And also, I mean, then my forearms are free again of any kind of device, because I would then always wear it on the biceps. Apart from sleeping, then I would switch to the wrist, because your testing has shown, but also I think it makes sense. They probably optimized for the wrist.
Well, actually now for the sleep tracking, it seems to perform identically so far.
Identically for biceps and wrist.
On me at least.
Yeah. Ooh, even better.
I think even when I have to look up the number again, but when I compared them to each other, they were 90+% of the time in agreement, like 90% of the time in agreement.
Sounds good.
So a really high number, which is quite hard. Like even two professional sleep scientists looking at the same gold standard sleep night with the sleep, like with all the electrodes, we only agree 90%.
Okay, exactly. This inter-judge agreement is
inter-rater variability.
Inter-rater, not judge. That's interesting. Yeah, cool. Yeah, what do you think about the Fitbit development?
I think Fitbit has really done a good job of basically cornering the market in a way where for most people it will be a logical choice. I think where the one place where Whoop still has some benefit is that they are more tailored towards really active people, and I think their app is just still better. I don't like, for instance, the weekly overview from like that everything is focused on a week for sports especially, which makes sense in Fitbit. Like in Fitbit they do it per week, and I'm like, this doesn't work for me. I need
Yeah.
to know what to do today.
Today.
And I know that I do enough exercise during a week. I just want to know today, how hard have I been going? What percentage of the exercise goal have I reached for today? I don't care about my week because that sort of works out in the end.
Yeah.
But this is to the degree personal, and I think focus very much on people who are really doing quite a bit of exercise. Whereas for your soccer mom or most people, a weekly view might actually make most sense because they need to fit it in somewhere.
Totally. And all the research also is mostly on focused on weekends. And I think there was a paper back then, and the headline was weekend warriors have the same benefits in terms of health if total work is accounted for. Like total work counts the most. Obviously, please, everyone, if you have the chance and enjoy it, move every day as much as you can. But even if you only get the chance Saturday, Sunday, whatever, this also helps a lot. And I think then the weekly view. Yes, the app experience, maybe as a final conclusion, is Oura is still, I mean, I'm used to it, but it is a much nicer experience. It's just beautiful. And a friend who also got just a Fitbit Air, getting off a Whoop, he also said, whoa, that's quite, it's like a decade jump of design, right? And I'm like, yeah, let's give them some time to accommodate. And also, they are just a more general product, maybe.
Yeah, and Google just has the main advantage of having a lot of people working for them and not needing to make money off this one product where they can sell it so cheap. Like if Whoop would now introduce a mostly subscription-free $99 product, they would be basically undercutting themselves by so much that they're probably losing money in the end per customer. Whereas Google can be like, okay, this can be a loss leader for us or a neutral, and it's fine because we want people in our ecosystem.
Exactly. Give us the data.
Exactly. Well, and with that, thank you so much for watching. We wish you a great day. And as always,
be your best N of one. See you next time.
See you next time. And we'll keep you updated.
We will keep you updated.